Okay, I believe that we're live, but there's going to be a delay on the other end. 1 second. Okay. Welcome everyone to our first AMA for Cohort 20 Retro. And yeah, we're going to be waiting for you guys to tune in for a bit before we actually do our icebreaker. We do have a lot of signups, but hopefully attendance match up to the signups number as well. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm muted already. Let me see. Okay, we have 4 folks showing up just now. Okay, and 1 person on YouTube. So we can we can start in say 2 minutes. Okay, cool. In case any of us cannot attend or you have to drop out anything, we do have the recordings available and we'll be sending it out through the Design Buddies newsletter. So yeah, in case you think you might miss it, we'll have it covered for you. Today gonna be a very interesting talks, and we were scrambling working on the slide deck before this. So let's hope you guys learn a lot of good stuff out of this session. Yeah, and meanwhile, while we wait for folks to join, you can drop in the chat your location and a project you're working on. It can be anything from portfolio website to content creation or any side project that is not hardcore UX design. So yeah. Devani, are you working on anything fun this week?
I am working on a new feature for one of the applications named Fluffle that we're going to talk about later in the slide deck. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now.
I see. Yeah, and I'm working on maybe an in real life event that people in SF or anyone close to the Bay Area can come to. Yeah, and it's also confidential for now, but I mean, if you follow our Luma link, you definitely know what I'm talking about. It's going to be in Tech Week, and you're going to see some students from our flagship cohort program present, and then a lineup of tech companies join and demo their product. So be on the watch for that. It's going to happen soon.
Yeah, it's going to be super exciting.
Okay. Working on a platform dashboard in Berkeley and working on Framer portfolio. Okay. Very career-oriented projects. That's fun. Okay, I think we have 18 people so far. So we can probably get started with introducing ourselves and yeah, say the reason why you should listen to us today. So, okay, let me navigate to the slide. So agenda today is that just keep dropping in the chat where you're from and a project you're working on. And we're going to introduce ourselves. And then we're going to get to the topic today, which is how to become a product designer in this economy, and a Q&A if you have any particular questions that we can help you answer. And yeah. So drop in the chat, portfolio projects, anything you're working on, and your location. So I'm in San Francisco right now. How about you, Devani?
I'm currently in Seattle. Okay. But yeah.
Oh God. Okay, so a bit about me. I'm going to introduce myself first. And I'm currently a content lead at CoCreate. So CoCreate is the umbrella company that hosts Design Buddies and UX Go. And we provide pretty much accessible education for designers who want to break into tech and who want to find community to improve their craft as a designer. And I was a cohort 19 alumna. I work for SoulSide AI in that internship experience, which is a health startup based in the Bay Area. And Devani, you can take over.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Dhwani, and I'm currently a product designer at Co-Create. I'm working on a couple of their products. As Min mentioned, what Co-Create is, I am a cohort 20 alumna. I just finished my most recent project with them, which was Deep Vista AI. I had an amazing founder. And Deep Vista AI is basically like a tool that would help founders kind of reduce their workload. So yeah, excited to talk more about it.
Yay. I think this chat is popping off. Like we
Yeah,
have people working on portfolio, AI device. Okay, Ashley. Portfolio, Lodifies animation. Okay, Christina.
that's
And
cool.
AI powered finance app. So, okay. Very interesting projects. So let's just dive into the meat of things. So a lot of this talk is actually inspired by a recent cohort 20 virtual party we have last week, and we hosted on a Sunday. So maybe people did not join as much, but we're going to take a lot of inspiration from that session. And if you need to refer to that and need a more in-depth take on like how to maximize your internship experience, go ahead and check out Design Buddy's YouTube channel and in the live tab. So yeah, I attached the thumbnail and the screenshot here for your own reference. Okay, so our audience for today, we are targeting specific designers. So one, if you have no clue where to start in product design, but really interested. And two, if you realize that your portfolio is not strong enough and you actually don't really know how to improve it. And then three, if you are career switching into product design from a non-tech background and you want to you need a really strategic framework or a smart way to break into this career without spending too much money, but also like effective enough for you to have really strong case studies. And a disclaimer I would have to say is that every journeys will look different, but this presentation offers what we think is the smartest framework and how to kind of like get the highest return on investment on your design education. So we're going to dive into the meat of becoming a product designer in this economy. Devani, you want to take the next slide?
Yeah.
Okay.
So first of all, a little bit of background as to why I feel like this is most relevant. I graduated this year in May, and it is a really tough market at the moment. And everywhere you go, even as an early grad, everyone tends to ask you for your experience. But because I'm an early grad, I might not have as much experience as they're looking for, which comes to the point that you need experience to get experience. And I feel like that has set back a lot of people in their careers, especially right now. And that's kind of the reason why it's a lot more different to navigate how to become a product designer in this economy as it would be a couple of years back. So, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, that's a valid take. I think if you follow Grace, Design Buddy's founder, she also wrote an article about this. This is like a chicken and egg kind of question.
Yeah.
And seriously, like, there's no way to troubleshoot this. And it's getting tougher and tougher because now they want more senior designers and eliminating junior designer roles, which creates a crazy market gap. So let's see how you can kind of navigate this market situation and actually create your own leverage. So most likely, if you relate to that statement we have before, you are likely very burned out from job hunting while having no leverage to pursue the next step in product design. So what we say by leverage is that you actually don't go to a really big school, or you don't have like a design degree, or you most likely currently don't have really strong projects, and you have been work like as a volunteer, work for like NGOs and work for like really like, I would say, bare minimum products that don't offer you the chance to prove your product design skill very hardcore. So say like website. Usually as volunteers, we work for website design. We work on designing very minimum features, like a mobile app, but it's not something that the market is looking for. So the thesis of today is to actually how to approach this whole designing your career in this economy is to treat your project and treat your journey like a design process. So think of yourself as a product designer. How would this career journey packaged as a product would look like? So this is a framework that Co-Create team, we use it within our own flagship program, the 10-week advanced internship, which we can talk about later. But we have 5 key steps, including 1, create a product requirement document. I'm going to explain the analogy very soon. And 2, perform a brutal audit. 3, ideate features and choose which one to prioritize. And 4, commit to improving them. And then lastly, you actually have to perform usability testing because that's like the sweet end note for every single product that get designed. Okay, so first steps to actually become a product designer is to actually identify your goal. This is basically like product requirement document in the product sense, in the sense that you actually need to outline whatever that you want to achieve in the upcoming year, or say like several months. Especially like after we finish this whole summer and you're still like a student in school, this is like the start of your job hunting season. And it's like a great time to actually sit down and see what kind of goal you have for your career in product design. So some possible goals, this is like literally I took this from the last presentation, is like, do I actually have at least 2 case study? Do I have a portfolio? And how is my interview prospect kind of look like? And what do I need? What kind of outcome do I want? So do I want to make my resume look hella cracked? Do I want a hella cracked portfolio website that present my best work? Or do I need a deck to present myself to recruiters or hiring manager? And then on to the second one, perform a brutal audit. This is an analogy to actually recognize your knowledge gap. Honestly, I think I have to like kind of rewind back and ask Devani about like the first steps over here. So what you can share a bit about like you kind of like see yourself kind of stuck in this land of not having real experiences. Me too. I also did not have real college experiences as like in terms of internship. The market was a bit brutal. So what like were your goal kind of when you know that you need to get serious with design?
Yeah. So like I said, because I graduated this year, and one of the most one of the biggest problems I was facing was that I didn't have any recent relevant experience to show. And my biggest goal at that point was initially that I need to work on a lot more projects and put myself out there. And but then I started to realize that these projects only make sense when people actually care about them, and which is why I started to feel like I needed to get experience one way or another. And that became like my biggest goal, where but like getting experience in this market is tough, because like we mentioned before, that to get experience, you need more experience. So I started looking for things that would help me gain experience in ways that is not very conventional, like applying through job boards or something like that. But in general, just ways to like maybe talk to a founder, work on one of their projects, and just gain experience like that. And that's when I kind of came across Cohort, like Co-Create's Cohort program. And that at that point that became my goal, because we're going to talk more about it. I don't want to like spoil it just yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moving on, I think a lot of people do actually miss out on these steps, but to actually recognize what you're lacking in and what we call like knowledge gaps is very important, because if you're already strong in something, you just don't need to focus on it. But in order for you to take yourself from like this 0 level to like 1 level, you need to kind of sit down and really identify what part in like the design career that you're not really good at. So brutally sit down, ask yourself, am I missing a lot of like key elements in like a portfolio? Say like, do I have a hero case study yet? Do I know what UX design or like specific things in design means? Or do I know how to use AI to work through my design flow? Because like now everything moves so fast, you need to kind of like catch up. So yeah, sit down, be brutally honest with yourself earlier on, and align this with the goal that you have and see, yeah, this is going to be the most effective way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on to number 3. Step 3 is to actually ideate features and prioritize. This analogy is basically linked directly to, imagine if your job profile is like a product, then each element in your job profile is a feature that you need to improve as a designer, right? So what do these include? So the features that we're looking at, I'm ranking these from like orders of priorities. So the most important thing is definitely you need very strong case studies. If you work on your portfolio website first without having solid case study, most likely you are invested in the wrong stuff at the wrong time, and likely like you will be kind of like wasting your time a little bit. Because like when it comes to portfolio website, I worked through mine in the span of 6 months. It took a lot of time. End
Yeah.
up I was worrying about like the design of portfolio and then forget that I need to actually write up my case study first. So do you have any input to add to this, Devani?
Yeah. I definitely agree that your case studies are actually the main crux of your portfolio, because anyone coming to see your portfolio really care about what work you've done. So having strong case studies is super important, and not just case studies, but also like how you present the case studies is super important, because you need to see to it that your storytelling makes sense. Like what you did during the case study makes a lot of sense. So I feel like that should be your top priority, and then the portfolio website is kind of built around it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
figuring out these features is also like not one size fits all, and figuring out like what your priorities are for this case. You're gonna have to really like sit down and see what works for you and keep auditing based on that.
Yeah. And I would say from like most of the roast sessions that I personally did with the Co-Create team, which are our coaches who came from big tech background like Meta and Dropbox, um, a strong case study usually is set in like a team setting. You actually work cross-functional and you design complex products instead of say landing page, which we no longer recommend for anyone working in product design to feature like website redesign case study, because those are like more on the marketing end and you don't showcase your strongest leverage as a designer through designing websites. So a strong case study, you have to work on really complex products, work cross team, and basically the key point is to actually get it to ship to a real user base and meet real user. So, okay, we found the screenshots through a very viral LinkedIn post that basically exposed the pipeline or like the criteria that recruiters, hiring manager look for in a software engineering intern. This also kind of apply to product design in a way, because like we all work in tech, and therefore like when the job market kind of saturated for software engineering, it did the same effect for product design as well. And usually like for product design, it's a bit more fragile because people tend to kind of undervalue product design roles. And yeah, which leads to a lot of crazy expectations, and which kind of like bar the entry for a lot of product designers. So say like you have to go to a big school, you have to have like a lot of like experience under your pocket already, and but one way that we see over here is you can leverage startup experiences to gain your leverage back. those backed by like Y Combinator, Sequoia, and one special thing to highlight here is even if the large company was Google or Facebook, if that's all they have, then the candidates will likely be rejected. I honestly don't know how like accurate this lists are, but to some extent, we do see that reflect on a lot of our like cohort students' profile, like a diversity of experiences spanning across startups and big tech do provide you a better advantage. And if now we cannot have like that big tech experiences due to layoff and a lot of things, we focus on startups experience. So some way you can find like startups that you can work for is vanilla mass applications on startup job boards like Y Combinator. LinkedIn do post that, and if you follow like recruiters or like a big network of founders and founding designers or founding team that work on something, or even like your school job board, you can still like mass apply and find your luck if you apply early. Number two is something I do like highly recommend, honestly, after I moved to San Francisco, is to actually go to in real life design events and find them like on Luma or on like other like LinkedIn or something. And especially in SF, where we have a really strong startup culture, people build product every day, people looking for a founding team almost every day. Going to design events is where you can find connections and people that are on these journeys to be your allies. So this is really important. Like the environment does matter. And number three is to actually like say, find a founder friend to actually refer you to like mutual founder friend as well. If they're not looking for someone, they might know somebody else who's looking for a designer. And Devani, you can talk about number four. Yeah.
Awesome. So this is what I was referring to earlier when I said that I wanted to gain experience, which wouldn't conventionally come through like a job board. So Co-Create's cohort is like a 10-week accelerated internship program where what my experience was like that I was set up with a team with super like-minded individuals like myself, and I got to work on one of like the founders who also joined the program, their products named Deep Vista. My specific experience, it's not like this for everybody. There are variations in the kind of startups that kind of come in. I wanted to work on a 0 to 1 product, and that's exactly what Co-Create gave me. And it was basically building the brand from ground up and also coming up with like the initial solutions for the main problem we're kind of focusing on. And I got to work with an amazing founder. And yeah, so it was just 10 weeks of the entire design process of building the brand up until coming up with like the initial solutions for the problem that we're working on. And in my case, it was helping early stage founders or like founders in general to reduce like their workload by using an assistant that helps them clear out their emails. And there were a lot of other cool projects as well that a couple of the other cohort students were working on. You guys should go definitely check it out. So yeah, that was my experience with the cohort.
Yeah. So yeah, cohort Co-Create is basically how we kind of streamline the process of finding a startup. And we also provide coaches who are going to guide you through the process. So that is like a guided internship in a way to work with a startup. So these are like 4 ways that you can find your way to work with startup founders. But if you know any other ways, please feel free to comment and kind of share your knowledge. Yeah. And then we get into like the harder part, the less cute part of the process is to actually commit to improving your product design portfolio or like profile. And how we define commitments to actually like build a system that push you every single day to improve bit by bit. And so we have some tips on this. Building commitment system. You actually commit first, but actually understand the urgency of like how much you need to improve and like the time that it takes for you to land a job from the initial start of the journey. Most people, like when I hear them talking about like landing roles at big tech, they usually start, say, if they want to land a role in next summer, the journey usually start in like September or October, because peak job season, say it's going to be around like November, or like starting January or February. That's when like jobs openings start opening up. So this is like the time where you actually kind of like understand that yes, it's going to take a heck ton of time for you to improve and iterate on whatever you're still missing. And also like a good case study does take a long time, at least like 3 or 4 months to actually complete. So once you know that you need to work on something important, then you need to start stepping your foot in immediately. And the second tip is to actually work daily and lock it. Lock your wins, your lose, everything into like say a digital journal. Keep track of your visual assets of what you build in Figma, or like scribble onto like your notebook of a design. These are gonna help you build a case study without feeling burned out. And then importantly, you need to find accountability partners if you know that you're not the type to work really well just by yourself. So honestly, this is my case. This is the reason why I actually have to go to coffee shops to work, because like seeing people also grind like me helps me a lot in knowing that, yeah, people are also working, they're also improving. So if I miss out on the time to actually improve myself, I'm wasting my time. So yeah, I don't know, Devani, do you kind of like share the same kind of sentiments in terms of commitment to like a product or projects?
Yeah, I definitely do. I also work best when like there are people working with me,
Oh
and
yeah.
I feel that I also like get on a lot of co-work sessions with like my friends or just like my team in general, and that helps me stay accountable, because then I'm bound to finish it like within a certain amount of time, and that just keeps me like consistent. So yeah, I completely get what you're saying, and
Yeah. Yeah. So co-work, and honestly, curate the right environment as well. Like invest in things that make you feel productive. I'm like, I like drinking matcha. When I drink it, I feel like I'm like the big boss. So I would invest in my own matcha setup. Actually, like invest in like tables and like desk setup that actually like curate that kind of environment that will put me in the flow, and like listen to like good music and stuff like that. These are very like little tippy like life hacks in order to like make commitments works better for you. But on that note, we also like designing a tool which Devani is actually working on. So like she can talk about that a little bit.
awesome. So there's this really cool productivity app that we're working on. It's called Fluffle, where you and your friends can co-work in a specific space. And we have Pomodoro timers, we have progress reports, we also have a shared space where people can kind of build on top of the island that they are on, using different XP and also what we call sunshine. And we get to plant these cool things onto the island based on the progress that you make, because more progress you make, the more XP you earn. So that's kind of what we're working on. We're super excited to launch this product and for everyone to use it. So this is one of the products that we feel like would help everyone stay super accountable, and it's also a space where you can chill with your friends and co-work.
Yeah, I'm like honestly very excited. I've been using it as like a beta tester.
Yeah.
But once we're gonna launch it in our demo day, so in October. So it's gonna be really fun. But say finding a community and accountability partners, you can find them on like say Discord, like Floxies, which is a female-only design Discord, and DB, which stand for Design Buddies. I was rushing through the slide. So Design Buddies, of course, is the channel that is hosting this AMA knowledge share chat. Or you can even find like mutual design friends at your school club and actually start co-working sessions together if that's what you need to push yourself to be accountable and committed to your improvement. So the last item, now that you know your goal, you audit yourself, you know what you're working on, and you kind of like improving your portfolio a lot and commit to improve them, the last step is to actually test usability. So what do we mean by test usability when it comes to a job profile? Is to actually put yourself out there. One way to put, there are many ways to like put yourself out there, and like it might seem easy just by saying it, like, oh, I just put my links, I just like mass apply And that's how I kind of put myself out there and play with the game. But we're just like, let's think of it on a more personal branding aspect. So there are several tips on how we think you can put yourself out there. One is to actually post meaningful stuff on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like, I personally would say, a digital estate that a lot of people missed out because they think posting on LinkedIn is cringy, or posting on, or like, who would care what I write if I'm nothing yet. But the truth is that when you start posting on LinkedIn, the age of a LinkedIn post actually has more lifespan, because whenever someone reposts or someone shares, someone engage with it, it's gonna repop onto the feed again. And by that, you kind of like create this like mini feedback loop in people who usually see your portfolio, see your LinkedIn profile. That can be a recruiter. And like if you keep showing up on their LinkedIn, then apparently like you would kind of create some kind of impression to them. And like on the sense of what to post on LinkedIn that is like meaningful, like share about your design journey. I think like Devani just shared about like her getting the job with Co-Create, and it went low-key viral, like over 100 likes. So yeah, just something like that. Make it genuine and make it like a story that you share to people. Make it meaningful by like adding your personal take on how this can benefit other people's journey. What you learn, like resources that you came across that you actually vibe with. So those are like stuff that you can post on LinkedIn. And two is to actually present your work to an audience. Don't just like rehearse within yourself, but actually let someone see how you kind of talk through your design decisions, how you kind of navigate design difficulties and present a full story, because those are the people who can actually give you feedback and who can actually help you improve with really concrete advices. And that link to like the third point is to get a lot of feedback from like, say, free design communities like Design Buddies and Floxies, and other design communities like Boba Talks as well. Those are where like a lot of designers kind of like hang out, and you're gonna for sure get a lot of good advices from them. But one of my kind of like pet peeves is actually like getting too much advices and kind of dilute your direction, and you don't know what you're working on. So what I do recommend is to actually only take advices and seek feedbacks from people who you actually look up to. So a lot of, say, like I plug UXGo in here. UXGo is like a paid one-on-one membership platform where I can actually find designers from my dream company. So my dream company is like Google and Figma. How about you, Devani?
My dream company is probably Apple and Google.
Oh, yeah. So like, say, yeah, in UXGo, like we pay to get like guidance and one-on-one sessions. So I would say I get more assurance because this person would definitely like be more committed to helping me improve my job profile. And one of like the people I actually really look up to, who's also happened to be a cohort coach, is Kathy. She was a speaker at our recent Co-Create conference, and she offers like paid coaching session. She also went through a wild journey to get into Dropbox, which she write a lot on her LinkedIn, and her stories are really spicy. So I love like looking at those. And from just like seeing her sharing stories like that, I kind of like really love like reaching out to her for any feedback or advices on how to improve my own job profile. So I do see some really like hot take, but very useful. And the last point is to actually get your work roasted. Design Buddies do actually offer like feedback Fridays, and before that, as a cohort team, like I did offer some like resume roast session and portfolio roast sessions on Design Buddies. So if you really want these kind of like experiences and know that it's going to improve you, like go search for those like in Design Buddies, Floxies, and a lot of communities online, and like definitely reach out to people that you really look up to.
Yeah.
So all of that said, that's the full outline of what we think will be the best framework for you to actually approach becoming a product designer now is to actually like know your goals, audit yourself, understand your knowledge gap, improve them one by one, and commit to a system to improve them, and also put yourself out there, build a personal brand, and reach out to people you actually look up to. And all of this combined, this is the reason why we built the cohort program. We kind of like trying to streamline all of this and give people guidance on the spot, and they get real experiences while actually working on something real and get guidance on it. So I think that's like the gist to all of our to the whole thing that we want to share to you guys. Yeah, so if you're still looking for your first product design guided internship, you can feel free to apply to cohort 21. We're at like early bird rates right now, and you can read more about us on cocreate.careers website and to see what you're going to be up to if you actually join our program. But go back to say, but today is meant to be more like a session knowledge share. We don't want to market, but yeah. So, okay, yeah, we have an Apple fan in the chat. Okay, now it's Q&A time. So we're gonna go back and kind of like answer any audience questions that we see. Okay, so we have one really good one right here. I don't see it in the chat. Yep, doubling on the value of in-person events. Yes. Some sessions do offer you like a community spotlight time. So if you're like looking for jobs or you're working on something really cool, if you put yourself out there, people are going to come find and chat with you.
I feel like that's the purpose of like having a good personal brand, leveraging all of these different tools like LinkedIn or also like in-person events or finding the right mentors.
Yeah.
will go a really long way, because even like if you're just posting your thoughts on LinkedIn or if you're posting about your work, there can be like potential recruiters who might see it and might reach out to you like, hey, I really like what you've done here and would want to talk more about it. So stuff like that is also really helpful. Talking about your work at like in-person events is also super helpful, because that way you're networking on a much larger scale than a lot of people who think about not posting on LinkedIn or
Yeah, true.
reaching out to people. I also see a really good question.
I think, okay, we can go with like the first one is that, do hiring recruiters still value personal portfolio projects?
Yeah.
Here. So honestly, it's really dependent on what you define as personal portfolio projects. I would say from what I've seen from all like the roast sessions that we do on Design Buddies and also talking to a lot of like big tech designers, hiring managers prefer, say like what they essentially looking for is like an addition to the team where they need the least training, but with the highest return on investment. So of course, if you're joining a company, you're working in a team. So does your personal portfolio projects let you work in a team settings and have real business constraints, have real metrics, have real impacts on people? And are you working on something like interesting and cutting edge? AR and VR used to be a really big thing. Now it's like time for like say AI agents. So that's why like me and Devani both like work for AI products because we definitely do see it's coming. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you say value personal portfolio projects, yes, it will be value if you are actually working towards something real and you actually plan to ship it. So yeah, if people like don't have the privilege to say getting like a really real experiences, you can like assemble a team. And now like with the accessibility of say Claude Code or vibe coding tools, bringing stuff to market and test it immediately and having real metrics and to call it like personal portfolio projects, those are still highly values.
Yeah.
So it's all within your design rationales.
Also like keeping up with what's happening in the market. Like right now, like as Min mentioned, that AR VR used to be like super popular before, but having AI and like AI kind of taking over, we also feel that being able to work on projects that are relevant would make a lot more sense because that is what people want to see.
Yeah. Okay. Any advice on finding mentorship from people in the industry and stay up to date on new opportunities? Okay. So, like I said, I honestly, I was a victim of paradox of choices when I say use a dedicated mentorship platform that is free, like ADP List. Um, it's really good if you like want to have like diverse set of opinions on something, but then end up like when I start actually getting to the meat of it, it's getting tough because like now I have too many advices from different people. So like I said, you need to find and like trying to like risk up people who you actually look up to. And in my case, it was like Kathy. She shared a lot of her design journey on like LinkedIn. I also like went to her like in real life talks in San Francisco in May, and realized that she also was a student in the same shoe applying, and then like tried a lot of different ways to reach out and to follow ups with like recruiters from Dropbox, and end up she got the job. So I really want to learn that, and like also like doing some research on her like that helps give me a better way to kind of like reach out to her for the first time, because now you do your research. So advice on finding mentorship from people is to actually like stalk them on LinkedIn and like find the people who work at your dream company and do deep research in that about them, follow their work, reach out, either email or like LinkedIn. Yeah, and staying up to date on new opportunities. Like I would say LinkedIn real life events that we talk about, yeah, do definitely like help the most when you want to get exposed to the most opportunities that will be easier to attain than mass applications. Yeah. How to understand the basics of design? I am more in development. Only do a bit of design. Okay, Devani, you can take over these questions.
Okay. So there are a lot of resources that are out there. First of all, so what I myself, so I come from a computer science background myself, and then I kind of switched into design. Even though they're both in tech, they're very vastly different skill sets that kind of come in, but now they're all kind of like merging into one. What I did was I used to do courses on like Coursera, or I would reach out to people who are currently in the industry and try to get like good guidance from them as to what I can do. And what I learned from that was self-learning in these kind of scenarios helps a lot, and being keeping yourself accountable that what is your end goal and what is it that you're kind of looking for by learning design, keeping that goal kind of clear in your mind is super helpful. Other than that, it's like if you want courses or like if you want like playlists to look at, you get all of that on YouTube, and there are a lot of people out there who are happy to share more about like design and their experience and guide you through it. So yeah, I would suggest having like a clear goal in mind and then trying to find resources that kind of help you get that goal, even if it's just basics. That would be super helpful. And obviously YouTube. So I YouTubed a lot of stuff myself.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, honestly, when you actually don't know anything about design, starting out with like a course or an articles, that's going to be the easiest way to like, attain the basics informations.
Yeah.
I mean, you can ask ChatGPT too. They do offer pretty like good chat if you want the learning to be a bit more interactive. Yeah. So, okay. This person said, okay, this is less of like a question, but I just want to add my takes onto this. Is I personally think that people love looking at stories and reading stories more than seeing just badges of achievements, like a certificate that offers no stories. So say if you want to like scale that impact of your presentations and the publications and the design that you have done before, definitely write stories about them and share the highs and lows, because that's how you kind of connect with people. So yeah, like if you want like an advice on how to leverage these experiences, then definitely do kind of like tell stories. And yeah, one question I see right here is, what's the difference between a product design and a UX design resume or portfolio? Okay, I think I can take over this question because this is more per pertain to like the sessions that I did before with Kathy and Jenny, our coaches. So nowadays, honestly, the way that the industry is moving is to actually like you moving from flat screen into designing a whole product experiences. So there's no, honestly, on like a skill level of qualification, like saying UX and products are like the same thing. But why UX is being preferred, why product is being preferred now is to actually approach design in a more holistic way. UX is more like flat screen experiences that are kind of more confined on the screen. And product is more like how you kind of define metrics from the start and then bring the experience to like the end user. So now you don't use UI UX anymore on your, say, like LinkedIn tagline or project portfolio. You're gonna say like product design. But honestly, yeah, they're used interchangeable nowadays, but they're the same thing, but encompass different skill set. So any UX designer can call themselves product designer, and that sounds better too. I don't really understand this question right here. What's the best design for LinkedIn to get a job? But any advice for being recruited to get a job? I think like that's the gist of our whole presentation, right? So identify your goal and like tell your stories authentically on social platforms and know where you're lacking at and actually focus on improving them. Those are like the best channel to actually improving yourself. Yeah. And I think that's all the questions I see from the audience today. If you're still looking for that first experiences and your hero case study, we're opening up application for cohort 21, which we said was the 10-week guided internship experiences that both me and Devani has went through. And you can find this on Design Buddies like post-it and like co-create website if you want to read more into it. Oh, we have one more question.
Yeah, we have one more question.
Yeah, you can take that over.
How to tackle the current job market as UX design is getting saturated these days? That's a really good question. I can give you a perspective of someone who comes from a more early grad kind of a situation. And that is where I feel like the Co-Creates cohort has helped me a lot. Because this current job market requires a lot of people to have like good experience and good projects that they can talk about. And I feel that any project that you work on needs to have a very solid, everything works on like the outcomes, like what is your final outcome. That's what people are most interested in knowing than actually what and all you did in it. So I feel that being able to talk about your outcomes in your case studies and then presenting those case studies will help you kind of guide and talk more about your projects clearly. And yeah, Min, what do you think about it?
Let's see. When they say like the job market is getting saturated, I feel like one way I see it is that you might be not tackling like the application process like kind of correctly. I don't think like mass applications and getting like constant rejections from just mass applying is like a really good way. So if you're seeing that you feeling like your stuff is not getting anywhere, get really creative with how you approach or find recruiters. I feel like the mass application part makes you feel like rejection is like just keep flowing in. It's because you don't actually talk to a real person. So definitely like find a better way to get closest to the people who make your hiring decisions and like get the advice on how to improve your products and projects. So that is like my one bit of stuff. Anything else? I think we answer all of the questions. And honestly, if you are looking for, more allies in your design journey, definitely feel free to connect with me and Devani. And we're happy to answer any questions, or even like if you have feedback on how we can tackle more relevant design topics on these kind of AMAs, do like let us know. Okay, we see one more questions. I think you can answer this, Devani.
So what are some good places to find users to do usability testing? I feel that first of all, the kind of product you're working on, finding out the target audience for who you're first of all kind of building it for is like the first step to it. You can obviously reach out to people via LinkedIn or also like other social media. People usually love testing products out, as based on my experience so far. There are also applications that are super dedicated for this, that you can find online, where you just kind of sign up, post about your product, and you look for specific users to do your usability testing on. But I feel like the most authentic way that I have been able to get good users is via LinkedIn, where I just simply have posted about the product I'm working on, and just like a tagline saying that anyone interested to test out my new product, please kind of like just shoot me a DM or something like that. And a lot of people do, because people love and are super interested in knowing what you're building. Um, so I feel like that has been super helpful. And if it's like a dedicated product that you're working on for somebody else, then I'm sure that they might have a good network as well for whom they think the product is most suitable for. So kind of also looping them in and asking them to kind of reach out to their network is super helpful, because that's what we did for our projects more recently. We just reached out to our founder and asked them to check within their network to find good participants to use the product for like the usability testing. So yeah, that I feel like is one of the best ways. What about going to a place locally?
I feel like you're talking about guerrilla testing, which is like really brief. Like you give people a prototype, they test quick, and then they give you feedback on site. Going to a place locally, huh? Are you actually reaching your target group if you go locally? Like when you say local, are you going to like say targeted events, or are you just whoever is available, then you test with them? I would say like really like you're like know who you're targeting and find your user where they are. You're like, yeah, there must be like some kind of strategic intent behind why you want to go find locally users locally. So yeah, do think about that a little bit, and if you want to expand it, yeah, let us know. Would it be possible to get in work in product design if you have more flat digital work or websites, or are less flat products necessary? Okay. We'll get back to your like going places locally later, but I need to see this question again. Is it possible to get work in product design? Yeah. I can go first if Devani's still thinking about it.
Yeah.
So definitely like as a product designer, you shouldn't showcase like a website redesign projects anymore, because those are becoming very oblivious and irrelevant for a product designer. When I say less flat, like flat meaning like the substance of the product and not just the literal like 2D thing, because now like not everyone using 3D products. 3D products are more like very niche market, more like game design, more like experimental art, and it's still not something that most designers are working on. So I would say flat products still work, but the flatness mean like, is the product actually having any substance? Are you like working on a functional full-fledged app with like full user flow, instead of just say a website with basic like static information that people just come and search for information? There's no real user experience going on here, and you're not being a real product designer if you're working on websites. So yeah, go ahead.
I also feel that product design and UX can go hand in hand, because at the end of the day, you want to test how the user is actually experiencing your product, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, being able to create a good user experience for a specific product all comes under the same product design umbrella, and which is why it is so loosely interchangeable. What the difference between product design and UX design is, it's very specific to your use case. In certain places, you would think that you're just building the user experience. That's when you're a user experience designer. But when you are end-to-end shipping the entire product, including like your research, your outcomes, your usability testing, and then also like the main user experience, that all comes under product design. So that is why in a lot of cases they're used interchangeably, and it's not specifically just for like digital work. It's just all in all everything.
Yeah. So say if you only have websites projects, do really recommend you to kind of like delve a bit into other product space that you can build your personal projects first. And honestly, like find teams that you can work with. This is gonna help a lot in you accelerating your like your new case study that offers a bit more substance than just websites. Okay, we have more questions.
We have, oh, I can take this one.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the outcomes, we usually measure the outcomes based on how well a product is doing. And that is what we measure usually during usability testing. It can be a very small sample size as well, where you talk to maybe 4 or 5 different users and you test the product with them and you see how well they're kind of responding to the designs you've created or the changes you've made. And you create a metric based on that, oh, maybe like 80% of the users, which is like 4 out of 5, found that the new flow that we kind of worked on was much faster. So here the speed is your metric. It can also be your click-through rate, which can be a metric. It doesn't have to be specific that it doesn't have to be like a fully shipped product. It can also be for a specific feature that you've worked on. So these outcomes are need to be well defined by you before you kind of conduct your usability test. That, oh, today I want to see how well somebody is able to finish the entire flow, or what is like the click-through rate till the end of the flow that I'm going to be measuring. So having outcomes kind of be measurable is what people want to see.
Yep. And to kind of like go off on that point, when you say still working on concepts, are you actually solving real problems? Say
Yeah.
like, yeah, if you work on a concept just because like they're really eye candy, they're really catchy, and you don't start with real problems, then you would not have an outcome to show. Because if you don't start out with problems, then what are you actually improving? That would be the question from saying like your hiring manager or someone who potentially want to work with you for a future design. So the outcome is just how well you solve the problems. So do identify those things. Kind of like vet the kind of product you're working on first, and definitely know that like there's a real user for it and not just some ideal persona that you think would kind of like found this product fun and interesting to use.
Yeah, I think that kind of also builds on the point of when somebody's working on like personal projects, it needs to make a lot of sense in terms of like the problem that you're working on.
Yeah.
That your personal projects are going to be extremely relevant and not just something that you've worked on to just show.
Yeah, true. We can go back to like the good place to find. It's like, okay, I think the way that I can rephrase these questions and add to the second one is, does in-person local usability testing works better? Honestly, I would say yeah. I mean, if you kind of like, let them test it out on in an environment that conducive to the way they would use the app in a daily situation, then yeah, that's a good usability testing opportunity. It's a bit harder if you like kind of like sit them down with you observing them and seeing everything they do. But yeah, going locally and target where your audience is at is like a really good way to test usability testing. I don't know if questions going to come in, but we're actually at time right now. So thank you everyone for spending your Thursday evening with us, especially if you're even tuning in from like a different time zone like EST. Really respect your grind. And next week we're going to have a bit more like in-depth topics that related to say cohort. Oh god, we have one more question, but I'm going to do like, yeah, we're just going to like say a pre-goodbye first before we answer the last question and the stream going to end. So where do you measure the speed that the user click or get through the user flow, or just the outcomes for usability testing? Do you manually estimate it?
So what usually we do is, for the first part of the question, how do you measure the speed that the user clicks or gets through the user flow, you honestly just time it. And there is usually, when you're doing your user research and you're doing your initial usability testing, you just sit with the user, you see how long it takes for them to kind of go through a flow. When it is easier for them to get through the entire flow, you can tell based on not just like the amount of time that they're taking, but also like their expressions, like are they confused, and they're not able to get through. And if the flow itself is supposed to be long, and you know that ideally it's supposed to take maybe 2 minutes, and they take around 2 minutes to finish it, then you know that how closely are your initial metrics kind of matching with what they're doing. So you kind of like time bound it yourself that, okay, this is supposed to ideally take 2 minutes because I know what the flow fully looks like and how it's ideally supposed to be taken. And they are taking 2 minutes to do it. So that means that they have a very good click through rate, and you measure both the times and kind of create a metric based on that. And then the second part is just or gets to the flow or just the outcome from the usability testing. How do you measure it? I would say that obviously there are going to be different metrics that you're going to have to measure. If you want like your app to be faster than a lot of other apps, you have a very clear metric, which is speed. And like you kind of measure the time again. But if it is, I don't know, if there are like any other metrics that you have in mind, being able to predefine them and also have like an expected outcome, that would give you like a good kind of framework to test your user flow.
That's great insight. Yeah. And if you do it online, I personally use Maze before to like just add a Figma flow, and then it's going to help you track online user. I don't remember if it's actually paid or not, but if you actually do need a streamlined way and not having to manually verify everything, then yeah, Maze is an amazing platform if you really want to do usability testing that is streamlined. Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah.
We're 2 minutes over time. But good luck with everyone on their design journey. Tomorrow is like Design Buddies feedback session. So if you are ready to put yourself out there and have something you can like showcase, join Design Buddies Feedback Friday sessions on Discord. And I definitely think that you guys are going to learn a lot just by putting yourself out there and get your work criticized somehow. It's really good. Yeah. So get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's like the mantra. But thank you, Devani. Thank you, team. And we're going to end the stream here. So hope everyone have a great weekend ahead.
Awesome.
Bye.